Hi guys and welcome back. So in this video we're going to be taking a look at polyester spray filler stage on this bay window camper. This is for, I'm actually doing this for 2 subscribers of ours. So basically this stage we've got everything sanded down, we've got all the roughed in filler work done, and we want to put something really nice over the top to seal all this filler work down, give us a nice substrate to block, so we can then continue on the next stage. Now the customers themselves have done the welding work etc on this. There's a few little warps here and there in the panels where it's had like new bottoms put in the side panels and stuff like that. Nothing majorly over the top. We've not had to do any welding on it. A few tweaks on a few panels to get things lined up, like the shut gaps and stuff on the front here that you can see, where obviously we've just skimmed some gaps together to make things meet a bit nicer. I mean, these things never did meet up nicely anyway, but I can't not get those gaps right because it'll just bug the crap out of me going forward. And it's not so much a concourse job, this one. They just want a nice tidy van. As Rachel said, don't go to my usual crazy standard on this because they want something that's usable. They're realistic in their expectations of how it will be when it's done. They're not expecting a sort of concourse job at the end of it. Same time though, we want to try and make it as nice as we can within the budget. So going for like the Novel spray filler, which is what we're using here, is a good option at this point. I've got this through the 2.5mm tip in the Welcome, just because it's the biggest tip gun that I've got, and obviously this stuff is quite thick. Now a lot of you are probably going to say, well, you know, why use this over high build? So polyester spray filler compared to high build is like putting a layer of filler over the top of this filler in essence, and unlike high build, it won't shrink. So we're going to put 2 really good layers of this over the whole van. That'll help seal everything up. It'll help seal all the old paint that's underneath and seal all the filler work that we've done over the top, so that we can then go across with probably go for a 120 and then a 180 over the top of this, once we've guide coated it, to find out if there's any more lows anywhere, and to then tweak all the details up. So like putting the lines back in the sides, and basically just like the panel edges, stuff like that, all the sort of minor details. Because at this stage it literally is like a heavy filler stage. Everything's been roughed in to try and smooth everything out, get the panels straight, but we've not worried too much about some of the edges and stuff for now, like the edges of the seams etc. You'll notice that they're still a bit rough, because we'll fine tune all those once we've done this stage. Now after this stage, what we're probably going to be doing is, well, what we will do is guide coat this. We'll then block it all out with a 120, finish any filler work in a 120, and then probably go a 180 or a 240. And then depending on what it's like, I might give it a second coat of this, or I may go straight for primer. It all depends, you know, how straight the van is and where it's at the time. If I have to do a lot of low spot removal or anything, or a lot of tweaking with filler, I might just go for another quick coat of spray filler and block that out. But then again, I might go for some of the 634 from Capsy, which is their high build primer, because it's extremely thick, it's extremely good build, and from what I can see so far, it doesn't shrink too much. Now the whole body of this so far has been blocked out. We've done all around the window edges. The most part of the large panels, as you can see, have been skimmed. They just had a very light skim with some U-Pol Premium, and then they've all been blocked out, like that back panel there. I know that whole panel looks like filler, but it's only like a very fine skim across it that then's been blocked out, just to get everything nice and level again, so that when this is blocked, painted, and obviously outside, it'll look reasonably straight. I'm not going to say it's going to look perfectly straight, because you can put hundreds and hundreds of hours into blocking these things and these never still look straight. You know, they were wobbly from the factory. Getting one of these to like a concourse straight is a ridiculous amount of work, and that's not what we're going for here. We want everything so there's no dents in it. We want, if there's the odd tiny wobble, that's not going to be an issue. But what we don't want is obviously like big dents or a big warp in a side panel or something like that. So we want to get everything straightened out. And as I was putting down this first coat, you can probably tell that it is nice and straight. So this polyester spray filler I found is quite good value. I think it's about 40 quid for the kit, and it's around about, I think it's about 3.5-4 litre kit, something around there. It's good stuff, blocks pretty well. If you leave it too long, it is quite tough to block, but it does block out quite well if you get it reasonably quickly. I know Evercoat, Indasa, whoever it is, have just brought out their new 3-in-1 system, which is like epoxy, spray filler and primer all in one product, which I'm very keen to try, because I think that could be really quite good stuff. It could save a lot of legwork on a job like this. So rather than say epoxying and spray filling and then priming, you could do all this in one hit, or you could just put like 2 or 3 coats of that stuff down and be done with it. And from what I've seen and heard, it's extremely thick, coverage is really good, and it blocks really well. It's got a lot of build to it for blocking down. And again, the bonus to this is the lack of shrinkage. You don't tend to get hardly any shrinkage with polyester spray filler. So when we do a lot of the campers, like the T5s and the T6s and stuff like that we do, and they've got damage on the big flat side panels, I will quite often hit like a big thick coat of polyester spray filler over the repair. That'll give me something really thick and nice to block out, and get that panel perfectly flat, and then I'll high build it, block that, DA it, ready for paint. Now if I went for the new Evercoat or Indasa stuff, I can't remember what brand it's under, but Indasa own Evercoat as far as I know, or Evercoat own Indasa, one way or the other. I could in essence spray a couple of coats of that on a heavy repair or something like this. I could block it out to get the flatness, and then I could DA it and paint straight over it. And that is the beauty there, is because it's like a 3-in-1, I could paint directly over that. Whereas polyester spray filler, any that I've seen so far, that are a reasonable price, shall we say, you can't directly paint top coat on top of. So you'd still be needing to add that high build primer stage on top. Now, I think for this shell, and you'll notice that I'm only doing the spray filler where I've done the heavy filler work. So like the rest of that front panel, I don't need to fully spray filler that front panel. It'd be pointless. There's no filler work on the rest of that panel. It's only round the top edge and the outsides. But yeah, something like this, it could potentially save a lot of material cost in a way, or it could save you 2 steps, because you've got a 3-in-1 product. It is expensive, or it seems expensive, because I think it's about 150 quid for like a 3.75 4 litre tin, somewhere around there. But when it comes to something like this, I'm probably on average spending maybe 80 quid on spray filler. My epoxy's probably going to cost me like 60-80 quid, and then I've got primer on top of that. That's going to be another 80 quid. When you actually work out that you got all 3-in-1, and it saves doing a whole nother process, so you don't have to epoxy it, then spray fill it, then prime it. It's all in one, so I've got less time with baking the booth, and obviously it'll cut down job time as well. Then it's obviously a lot better in that respect. Volume wise, I think we used about 3 to 3.5 litres to give this 2 really heavy thick coats. So it's pretty much almost a full kit to give a job this size, 2 really big heavy coats. But like I say, I've started off blocking this with a 120, and there's not a massive amount of areas where it's gone through. Some areas that were worse, like along above the swages, etc., like up here where I'm spraying now, some of them areas have gone through quite a lot. But this polyester spray filler is obviously there to work and act like a filler. The whole point of this is it's like a really smooth coat that you can use to fine tune the flatness of panels with, and the flatness of repairs, and blend repairs back into the panels better with. I was contacted by a guy about painting a TVR last week, the week before, and again, this is a process that we would do on that, with it being a fiberglass body. It's had some repairs, you know, 2 really nice coats of this over the body first will give a really nice thick build, but a strong non-sinking build that then I can use to block the body out really nice and straight with. So sometimes, you know, we would go for a spray filler. Sometimes, you know, if it's not too much of a heavy repair or it's a straight job, you might just go straight for a high build. But when it's this sort of magnitude, I would try and go these days for a spray filler, polyester spray filler over the top, block that out, get that smooth as I can, do any fine tuning and detail work, and then prime it with the view of, say, a 320 block and a very quick DA before paint. So that's probably the way that we're going to do this, to be fair. You'll get a quick block with a 320 on the main areas, and then we'll DA and hand pad, you know, all these nooks and crannies. It'd be like the big flats that'll get the block, and then obviously we can just DA it and get it straight into gloss then. So the next video will probably be a quick walk around of the repair work once the repair work's done, and we'll get into the high build stage on this, and then we'll probably get into the actual prep for the van and paint pretty soon after that. Now, I just wanted to say, obviously, I've not been uploading much. As a lot of you guys know, you've seen the previous video, so you know I've been off dealing with a few personal things for a little bit. Been a bit longer than I wanted to, but needs must. One thing that I will say though is that what's the best way of putting it? The response to that video was huge. The amount of likes, comments, and people coming out and chatting to me privately through Instagram and through Facebook and whatever else was very humbling and very shocking, to be honest, just to see how many other people not only suffer but also need a bit of help as well. Quite a few of you reached out to me. As I said, I won't mention any names, but there was a lot of you, a lot more than I thought there would have been. So as much as that was a tough video to do, I'm glad I did do it, because I know there's quite a few of you out there that since me putting that up, I've gone and got some help. I hope that any of you that have are doing well, and continuing the start of your journey towards getting a little bit better. This time of year is normally my time of year to be the worst with mine, to be fair, because this is the time of year that I went through everything that caused mine. But I'm kind of hoping that having a wobble, as I would call it, a little bit earlier in the year means that I won't have to go through as much now this time of year. But I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody that reached out, all the well-wish messages that came through, and for all you guys that came into the comments on that video and also shared your experience for other people to see, because that will have had a huge impact, not just for me saying it, but for all you guys that also stepped up and said that you have problems and you have issues, or you have had issues and you got through it. It gives people that watch that video and have seen that video hope that, you know, they can also do the same and that they are not on their own. So a big shout out to everybody for having the courage to get in the comments and shout up on that video. Now, I've got a lot of videos planned, I've got a lot of videos filmed that I just need to get edited. I've got quite a bit of free time in my evenings at the moment now that I'm settled, so I'm going to get back to editing. I'm going to try and get back to the once a week upload schedule, and get things kicked off on the channel again and get back to things being regular. So I say a massive thank you to everybody that's hung on and waited while I've been off. Also, the new channel members that have popped up while I have not been uploading, I say a big thank you to you guys for your support as well. It does help a lot, and I hope you enjoy the end of this video. This will be it for this week's video for me, guys, and I'll see you again soon for the next one. Bye for now.
My heart rages around like an ocean in my head, because that I